I want to say welcome to Refreshed, everyone. How are you feeling? I got to tell you, I'm feeling happy to be with all of you to spend this time with Sherry, our producer, and this week's guest, Jamie Olken, to talk about how we can best spend this time with you so that we can learn together, inspire each other, and feel just a little bit better about ourselves and each other because of this time spent together. So here we are. There's a lot to be said and continue to feel about the pandemic. It's gone, but it's not gone, right? And today we can do that. One thing that continues to stand out for me is this perception of time that feels radically warped. Does anybody else feel like that? Like I think about it. I think twice about how many friends that I have not seen in this period of time. Actually 14 months and counting, right? People on this list, my family. It's astounding. And I find I go down many rabbit holes trying to figure this out. What is the best coming out of the pandemic behaviors, thought patterns? And where's the place of comfort as the world continues to swirl, although thankfully in a much more positive and production direction, right? We speak about reemergence, masks off. At least it's the physical mask that we're taking off in many or most places around our country. But what about the other masks that have remained, right? The ones we have learned to wear during this time of a pandemic and of this was the way I wrote this, of pandemic induced discovery. Actually, we've had multiple viruses, the one of equity and equality and social justice that came to the fore that is also demanding healing. I mean, everywhere we look, we're here, DEI, DEI, DEI. Yes, yes, as it should, as we should. And I look forward to a specialized, more in-depth conversation. Maybe you guys want to join us for that at another upcoming Refresh. But today we come together to talk about where we are now, the summer of reconnection, the summer of reemergence that brings new feelings of anticipation and joy, but also perhaps ones of a little bit of fear and concern. And so who do we have with us? Our very own, I hope, Jamie, you don't mind that we call you our own, Jamie Olken, a psychotherapist with a private practice in New York City. She's been with us through all of the really challenging times, but also here to make us smile. She specializes in women-centered collaborative care. Her practice integrates mental with medical health care for the person at all stages of life. And Jamie, I can tell you that our group is at all stages of life. Absolutely. And in talking with Jamie about today and about, where we are, we thought we would try to create a more interactive session to really understand where people are. So we put together, I hope everybody is available and ready. I don't know if I don't know, Mom, I hope you can do this, a variety of polls. And I think what we want to do is start off with our first poll to just kind of do a mood check. So Sherry, let's check with everybody's mood. Are you fortunate? Are you optimistic? Are you feeling scared? Are you feeling sad? We probably should have put all of the above, none of the above. But of course, we do have the chat. Jamie, welcome.
Thank you.
All right, everybody, you're able to do this with your computer or your phone on your screen. If you were on Facebook, just put it in the chat in Facebook and we'll be able to see that as well. Sherry Chait, how are you today? Are you feeling fortunate, optimistic, scared, or sad? And Sherry, you can turn these right around and show us, right? Oh, I have to do mine. I didn't do mine. I think I'm feeling fortunate. That's where I am. Oh, there we go. Oh, a lot of people are feeling fortunate. A lot of people are feeling optimistic. Some are scared. No one's really sad. Wow, Jamie, that's far different than.
That's wonderful.
Right? I hear the sounds of blackness singing optimistic, says Elizabeth. So Jamie, what are you seeing? You're on the phone, you're meeting people all day long, sharing their thoughts. You're in New York, much different than a lot of us are from all over the country. What's your sense of where we are right now?
So I think that our poll is actually fantastic. I'm unfortunately not seeing the optimistic and fortunate, although I think when people really think about that, we've gone through all of this time isolated, frightened by being sick, losing people, scared of losing jobs and equity, and seeing all the injustice that's come about, injustice. I do think that people have a mixed emotions. I think we're ready to take our masks off, most of us, yet really concerned. Are we safe? And I think the whole point of what I'd like to discuss, Donna, is that there's going to be a range of feelings, and that today we have a very fortunate and optimistic group, and sometimes we won't feel that way, and that's okay. We're going to have a range of feelings. It's been weird.
It is kind of weird now, and I'll share this. Well, I'm just going to say from Facebook. First of all, Jakimba, one of those people I have not seen in, I can't tell you how long, but she's feeling fortunate and optimistic. Whitney Walter is feeling optimistic. Lenita Walter, I guess, Tiffany, this must be your wonderful family, is feeling optimistic, and Debbie Banks is feeling fortunate. And maybe that fortunate really is like you look back and think, oh my gosh, we have been
We
so
did
lucky.
it.
We're here, right? We're safe. We know where our family is. We have had hardships. We have had struggle. We've had angst and pain, but mom, we're here and we're okay, right?
Exactly. And so that's kind of what we're talking about, is how do we now look back about the last period of time and help us re-enter, maybe differently than we've lived before, maybe similar, but we're coming back with different feelings.
Right. And so what are those feelings? Like I'll tell you, yesterday I went to a lunch, a grown-up lunch. I got dressed. I wore heels. By the way, I really do not want to wear heels ever again, but I'm wearing heels, right? Around this room are all the movers and shaker men of industry. And we were a table of 5 women, by the way. I did really love that. And then when I came in, the first woman, she gave me a bump of the elbow, right? It's like, what is that first? Like, how do we greet? Somebody else gave me, this woman, the hugest hug. And, I think there's a level of uncomfortability of how am I greeting other people? And perhaps it's maybe we just have to be more aware of that and be okay with that, Jamie.
I think you have to go to where your comfort level is. And today it may be an elbow bump, and in a month from now, it could be a hug. We don't really know, because we're just in the middle of processing what the last 17 months have been like.
Right.
And so re-entering doesn't mean we're all going to do it at the same pace. And so
Right.
the person that elbow bumped, she felt close enough. She wanted you to know that she was really happy to see you, but she's not there yet for a hug. I respect that.
But it's interesting though. She's a mom of small children, and she goes, "My kids can't get vaccinated," so I think she feels a responsibility to make sure that they're safe. And I know we have some moms here as well. And it's funny. When you don't have little kids every day, you don't think about that as much, and then you're exposed to other people. Sherry Taylor said, "I really like this. I was out in Denver recently, and no one is wearing masks. I was nervous at first, but it became natural after a minute." I think, to me, Jamie, that's also a really big, like it takes, everyone goes, oh, and then like, boop, okay, I'm back.
For some people. And you have to remember that we lived defensively for many, over a year. And so the person who's fortunate enough to bounce back pretty quick is wonderful. And I'm so happy that it was natural. There are now, not everyone is going to act like that. So it's about talking to one another. Are you comfortable with me hugging you? I really want to hug you. Are you comfortable? And the woman who has little kids says, I'd love to hug you too, but I have little babies.
Right.
So we can't do that. So it's about respecting where you're at in this pandemic, and the pandemic is not over.
No, but by and large, it is not over. So listen, we have another poll. This is a good way for us to continue to find out where we are. Let's talk about, I think the poll we have is, are you ready for re-entry? Is that the one? Yes, here we go. No way, I'm scared. Slow and steady. Hugs all around, and ready to rock and roll. All right, so let's see where we all are. All right, Sherry will come back to us. Welcome, Marta. I'm so glad you're here. Marta Pretelt is joining us. She is a senior executive at FIS, and we're going to talk about the workplace a little bit as well. And Marta will be here. She'll take off her microphone when we have some questions. Wow, Jamie, wow. So 52% slow and steady. And we have people who are scared, which is fine. Hugs all around and ready to rock and roll. So more people are slow and steady and scared. You're 56%, more than half are really in that quadrant, or that upper, whatever you call it, of being like, okay, let's figure this out.
And so Donna, this is exactly what we're talking is we have to respect that we're all different. In New York, we were covered from head to toe. We didn't let any molecules get near us for a year and a half. And I felt in 1 hour, the city became the most crowded place I've ever seen in 50 years. And nobody was wearing masks. And everybody was like partying in groups of thousands. And this went from really, the city was empty. And so you have to decide where you're going to enter and at what rate you're going to enter. And don't feel bad if it takes you slower than the person that says, I jumped off the plane, I was fine. And so it's really about not judging ourselves. Don't judge ourselves harshly, judge ourselves kindly.
Which is nice. And then also on our Facebook friends, all of our folks there, many of them, Jakimba, Whitney, Lenita, yes, Erin. Hi, Erin from, oh my gosh, Erin's out west where it's so hot. Debbie Banks, oh, they're all mostly slow and steady, right?
So what does that mean? What does slow and steady mean?
Well, let's ask people, tell us in the chat, tell us on Facebook, but Jamie, to you, what does slow and steady mean?
So slow and steady is have you taken off your mask comfortably? Are you vaccinated? Do you feel that it's okay to get vaccinated? And so that's really where we're starting. We're assuming people are vaccinated, but not everyone is. And so how do we help people get vaccinated? If it's not a religious or a medical issue, how do we help people understand this vaccine? I think it's called Initiative for Love. Vaccinate for Love is a great initiative to help people get comfortable. It's 1,200 doctors that are ready and able to speak to people. The other way is to talk to your friends. So if vaccination is still a question, let's help people get vaccinated if it is within their religious and medical ability.
Yeah.
The other way is go slow. Don't go to a party of 200. Go to somebody's house and sit with them and just talk and see how they're doing and tell somebody how you feel. Because sometimes worrying about sick is a real worry, but we also have to understand that we probably won't get sick the way people got sick with COVID. Yeah, if you're vaccinated.
But yeah, it's interesting. I was with one of our docs recently, our doc friends, and I said, hey, what's going on? And she said, the only people are in the hospital for COVID are the people who do not have vaccinations. Mm-hmm. So vaccinations clearly are working. And I guess for me, when I'm out there, let me ask you this. Maybe it's not even about slow and steady, is I've gotten accustomed to staying home and liking it. And I feel like there's this maybe it's a different kind of mask that says, yes, I'm a goer, I'm a rock and roller, I'm a like hug everybody. But I found a sense of place and peace in what we've lived in. And I find that there's a little something holding me back in that. And I'm not sure it's all about health. Maybe it's mental health. Maybe it's a feeling of safety. I'm not exactly sure, Jamie, but it's something.
I think it's expectations. We might have felt, or you might have felt, to rock and roll all the time. And there's something really nice about going a little slower, taking it a little easier, spending time with less people. My feeling is I will never be on a plane ever again without a mask. I travel all over the place and I will wear a mask always on a plane. That's not my style typically. I'm kind of like, but you know what? People that were healthy and didn't have COVID and who wore masks, there was much less people getting sick. And so there's something to be said about I learned to wear a mask now, I'm going to wear a mask. And so I think that you have to just be okay when you make decisions, whether it's staying home, whether it's being a little more protective, whether it's being more thoughtful, getting deeper in with your friends and family, or spending time alone. These are all things we've learned.
Right. So Olender Johnson, Dr. Johnson, it's so nice that you're with us. Actually, I haven't seen you in forever, but we feel your presence, and you have been through this with Refresh all through the way, part of the community. Slow and steady for me means taking my time, returning to crowds, sometimes declining invitations, and easing my way back to my regular home goods shopping. Trust me, they don't want you to be easing back there, Dr. Johnson. Come on now. They're looking for that credit card. And then Sue Kornhauser, how are you, Sue? She's like, me too, Donna. Like there's something like psychologically, I don't know. It is feeling safe at home. I don't feel unsafe out there, but sometimes I think about, we all are hearing about all of these, what do you call them again, Jamie? I want to say derivatives. All the different kinds of versions of the virus. And then I look around and I think the numbers where we live in Jacksonville, Florida, are maybe only 36% people vaccinated, maybe 54% with one. And I'm like, wait a second, there's a lot of people who can carry this around here.
Right.
Maybe
there's 70% in New York City. So just that's the point. And I think that Dr. Johnson said, like, you got to just go at your pace, I think she said. And so one of the things, Donna, that we keep talking about is some people have to go to work. Some people have to go to the store. Some people have to go get their kids somewhere. And so how do those people ease in quicker? Because they have to, they have no choice.
Well,
And
so that, you know what, that's a really good thing. So where's our sense? And I'm going to put this out there. And this is not about, it's about community. It's about a sense of social responsibility, right? I want to feel safe. I want my family to feel safe. I'm going to do these things to do it. But if I look at my community as my greater family as they are, and she and I talk about this, my husband, and it's like, okay, do we wear a mask in a store? Maybe it's not for us, but maybe it's for somebody else.
Correct.
And, that sense of giving and sharing and feeling of caring is incredibly powerful. And yet it gets rejected as something that's political, but it doesn't have to be. It's not. It's about being human.
Well, it's also not mask shaming. So if you're uncomfortable with somebody who's not vaccinated, it's okay for doing many things. One is you keep your social distance, you can wear a mask, and you can kind of not see them if it's really something that you're worried about. And
Right.
if you have no choice but to interact, then you can put on a mask and you can protect yourself and protect them. Listen, there's a lot of people that have little kids that aren't vaccinated. And so and there's a lot of people that still don't trust the vaccine, and we have to respect that. There's long history about not trusting things. We have to respect that. So when in doubt, put on a mask for yourself and for others.
So here's what Joy Kurtz. Hey, Joy, we're so happy you're back. I'm still worried about unvaccinated people. By the way, I am too. Like my neighbors at the shore who also have younger kids, I can't ask them to wear a mask, but I don't feel comfortable when I'm talking to them, even outside. I have talked to them. He and one of the children had COVID, but they don't feel comfortable with the vaccine. And yeah, but that uncomfort. It's a question is that uncomfortability creates huge risk for more than just them.
Well, it also creates a risk in the relationship. And so I do think, Joy, that it is possible to share that concern without judgment. And they have a, if they want to interact with you, they can hear that. And so we're not asking them to do something uncomfortable. We're asking them to be thoughtful, and it's fine.
Right. And we also want to be respectful, as you said, if there's some kind of immune disease, right? Sue probably can talk about that, or something that's really prevents you. I just worry about all the misinformation, like people who have said, oh, I've seen it on the internet, masks don't work. No, masks, we did not have a flu epidemic of any sort this year. Directly credit to people, wearing masks. So we know that. So you put together some ready for re-entry graphics for us, some notes. Sherry's going to bring that up and we can look at it. Please, if anybody has any questions, by all means, put them up there and we'll obviously we'll pop them out. Tiffany, you're doing great there on Facebook. Thank you so much. All right, so here we are. How to handle re-entry. Jamie, I think you've been saying this since the moment we got on. No right or wrong way to handle, right?
So please do it the way that you want to do it, the way what you believe in. If you feel like there's something that you're not sure about, there has to be a reliable person in the medical field that can help you really understand how to get COVID, how to prevent COVID, what the vaccine can do and can't do. And like you said, the variants, Donna, what's happening with the variants. And
Right.
so again, vaccinate for love. I'll get everyone that website, and it's really helpful. And it does give you medical facts as much as we know.
Right. Absolutely. Okay. Going at your own pace.
So some people are ready to party, rock and roll right away. Other people are slow and steady. Slow and steady wins the race, guys. So if that's what you want, it's okay. It's funny. It's like, it's hard to remember how to socialize. I listen, I get dressed every day and I wear gym shorts underneath. So, it's about putting the heels on again. Am I going to put heels on again? It's okay to make changes that are better for you now. And so I've become a really good cook during COVID. I never even knew I knew how to do it. So these are the ways that this is my tempo now. Dinner is a big activity. And I think that communicating your needs and feelings, like the person who is at the shore, that's really important. It can be done in a very open and kind way. It doesn't have to be anything other than it's a concern. I'm not really sure how to handle this. What do you think we can do? I'd like to socialize with you, but this is my concern.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Jeannie Milbauer. Hey, Jeannie, how are you? We went from 0 to 1,000, not out of comfort, but out of necessity. She says, I agree. Keys to be respectful, but would like to understand the risk of the variants better. And I guess we can bring back our friends from the Mayo Clinic and talk about that in greater detail as things continue to change. If there's a hot spot anywhere in the world, I feel like we're at risk, right? As long as there's a place. And the question now is, how much of a risk is that, and what is the impact on our health? Is it like a regular flu season? Is that what's going to happen? I don't know that we quite know yet. If there's any doctors on here who want to weigh in, please do. Sherry, was there a second part to that? I'm not sure of that graphic. I'm not sure.
Donna, I'm interested in hearing how whether those 3 kind of tips are something that people are doing or they think that they'd like to do. Is it helpful? Is it, and so it would be nice to hear.
Oh, that would be a good thing. Susan Summer. It's funny.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, when we planned this, we probably should have made this a conversation as opposed to a webinar. Then we could have had everybody.
Okay. So let's go to the next one then. Think of a time when you had to be resilient. What did you do? So we kind of are thinking, this is a time to really be resilient. We're all here and we're all taking time to do this. So we are resilient. And so I think about, what have I done? What challenges have I had? And how did I do it? And so that's something really important to see where your strength is. We talked about foundation. We talked about having our own foundation and taking time for ourselves. So this is a kind of the same thing. What did we do and how did we do it to be resilient?
I really do like that, Jamie. I always am a big believer in the resilient muscles, right? We do have a great capacity to be resilient. We often don't recognize it, but if we go back and find out what we have done, it will prove to ourselves that we've done it before, we can do it again. Fight, team, fight. Did you have that cheer when you were in high school? Never mind.
Can you read what people are saying? I'm just getting a flash.
No, there's great stuff here. I mean, yes, I will do that. Alenda said she's reached out to others, recognizing that she cannot address the challenge on her own. So this sense of community is really important. It always is. And that's why we're together today, reaching out to each other, reminding each other, sharing our innermost thoughts on these things. Margot said these tips are so helpful, being honest with ourselves and focusing on self-care. And she's very grateful to you, Jamie. How about, Gloria didn't share this with me yet, but she was at her first in-person event yesterday. She was nervous, ended up leaving her cell phone on the table and turning the wrong way on a one-way street. Wow. She said,
Glory.
Really ready for the bigger world. That's funny because our office has been open 2 days a week, but our world, I think we paced our world internally. So we're kind of comfortable in our little zone. Amy Mills has said, recognizing changes to keep when re-entering has helped me take it in smaller steps, helps to minimize feeling of being overwhelmed with re-entry and diving back in. I think this idea of being overwhelmed is also a big one, right? The world,
Mhm.
right? It's kind of like you've kept the
Yes.
ocean at bay and the waves you see them coming over the top a little bit, and all of a sudden you open up the gates and it's like very overpowering. And
I
Mark is of course working out, and working out is also being physically
right.
active so important.
So Margot Tucker said that these tips were helpful and to be honest with ourselves and focus on self-care. And I think that's exactly what we opened. If you remember the first refresh that we did was all about kind of how do I take care of myself? Amy said about working out, but it's also, Olenda said, you got to ask for help. You have to ask people for help. And that we didn't get a chance to add that to the list, but it's okay to tell people what you need or ask for what you need.
Right. And I think, it'd be interesting, Gloria, to find out, are you ready for your next trip now? And you actually won't make that turn down the one-way street. Like, but once you do it, right? Now, we talked a little bit about what a doctor's medical information. And Billy Joe says, she's in Colorado. I've been cautioned by medical professionals, or rather encouraged to unmask after vaccination to prevent superbugs and to maintain immunity. Now that gives you a whole other thread to think about. Like, I have not heard that, but that is really interesting, right? We don't want to shield our whole immune system from taking in anything. We want to continue to build immunity, and therefore we do have to have exposure. So that, I think, is extremely interesting. And then Irene Chang Britt, hey Irene, she says, my parents went through war and constantly told stories. My attitude is that I have it easy versus them, no matter what. Right. So that's definitely her self-resilience story. And thank you for sharing with us, because we can do that as well. And I love thinking about your parents, especially the strength of your amazing mother, Irene. So I think that's also really helpful. Okay. So Jamie, I have all these questions for you here, and I know that we have another poll. Let's find out, Sherry, what the biggest impact of COVID has been on everybody. Okay, ready? Has it been financial? Oh, I guess we can only do 4, Sherry. I think we originally came up with lists of like 6.
Yeah.
Financial, emotional, physical, employment, job. Oh, I'm gotta figure, I'm putting mine in. What's the biggest impact it's had on me? Yeah, definitely that. Okay, I'm submitted. Let's see what everyone says. I don't know. Everyone has expectations so far. That last poll. Oh, there you go. All right, Jamie. This is why you are working 24/7, because we all feel emotionally impacted in so many ways.
So let's talk about being mothers, fathers, teachers, healthcare providers, people that we have so many roles in this pandemic. And somebody had said that they're resilient as a mom. They have to be resilient for their kids. They want to make it as normal as possible. And that's a really, really hard task to do, because there's nothing normal about this. And so the kids have been home, the teachers are working so hard, the healthcare workers are working so hard. There's so many, all the essential workers, just everyday people, the delivery people in New York City are working so hard. And so there's nothing normal about this. And so how do we help our kids not panic and not freak out? I have more kids right now that are asking for medication, that are asking for therapy, that are asking to take a break from school. This is, I think, emotionally for everyone, it has impacted us. And now that we're looking back and that we could take a little bit of breather, it's really hard. It's really hard to recover. And so people talked about working out, and people talked about asking for help and being with friends. But what else can we do, guys? Because the person, the father or mother who asked about trying to keep it as normal as possible, that's a really hard task.
That's Tara. Yes, yes, yes. She says it's been very hard, but self-care was the key for me. Erin says, could she choose all 4 of them? She's impacted all 4. And this is what made me laugh out loud. Irene says, slim social calendar, utopia for an introvert.
Well, people with anxiety disorders say people and really have a fear of socializing really say the world understands how I feel.
Mm-hmm. Why is that?
Because it's very hard to socialize when you're afraid of being sick.
Right. That's absolutely true. And we had to find a more comfortable space with ourselves, with our families, or whoever we were with, which was both, had, again, also an upside and a downside. Did you say there was some stats where there's more breakups now than ever before?
There's been more COVID relationships and more COVID relationships that have ended in this period of time. There's also, we have a 50% divorce rate that has not changed. And I think, Donna, are you the person who said 52% of the people will be changing jobs?
Yes. I think it was 41%, but they're calling it the great employment shift. And I know Marta's on here, and there's a couple of others here. We can put that up in terms of people, right? This has given us time to think. Sue said, we've slowed down. Glory said, we've looked at places and said, what's important to me? Where do I want to spend my time? It's in that way, it's a real gift. Tremendous ripple impact, right? We're seeing that economically, socially, culturally in our culture. But yes, 52% people, it's not even changing jobs so much as people like, this, I don't want to do this anymore. We look at the restaurant industry, it's been decimated for so many different reasons, but there's also has to be an internal look that says, what are these jobs like? What are the hours we're asking people to work? How much of that is reasonable? Now, in China, they're not doing that, right? China is a totally different culture. But here in America, there's a total reevaluation of, where we want to be and what we want to do, and so we're going to see that. So I think 52%. And then where are we going to work? How are we going to express our work lives? So we put together this poll. We did this once before. I want to see if there's any change in it. So Sherry, if you put up the going back to workplace poll. All right, 100% work remotely, 100% back to the office, and then of course there's a hybrid mix.
It would be helpful if we had ages on this also.
I mean, how old the people were voting for this?
That are answering this question, yeah.
Okay, if anyone wants to just
21.
All right, I'll give you 21 if you give me 19.
But I could tell you just this morning, I had people that were under 35, and I would say 4 people said, I can't wait to go back to the office. Where earlier this year, people were more of a hybrid. So it'd be interesting to hear what our people are saying, hybrid.
Okay. So 100%, but let's put it this way. 90% of the people involved here, I'm not sure where we are on Facebook, don't want to go back to the office full time. That's a big number. And yet there are lots of companies now asking their employees to come back. Many of them are in hybrid. Marta, I know that you're at FIS, you're involved in all of this. Maybe you can unmute your mic and tell us a little bit about what's going on in your global company.
Can you guys hear me now?
We can.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. It's actually quite interesting, and I'll give you my own personal perspective. But really, for us, it has been the top priority for us is to keep our employees safe. So in areas where we're still seeing a lot of COVID breakouts, we're being incredibly prudent, and we're like in India, as an example, we're driving campaigns, vaccination campaigns. We're helping employees when they're in crisis, and we're really trying to focus on wellness and what we need to do for the employees. The reality is that the industry is going hybrid. For our company, because of the industry, fintech, there are certain roles that have to be in the office 100% due to security constraints. But we're really looking at how do we become more flexible and how do we drive the work experience in a way that is inclusive. So when you have a team that is meeting in the office in a boardroom, and there are certain individuals who are going to be remote. How do we make that experience so that it doesn't feel disjointed? So we're investing quite a bit in technology so that, we're equipped with cameras and microphones and to drive an experience that is inclusive for all. I'm back in the office part-time, so 2 days, but I'm moving to 3 days as of next week. I actually really like the connection with my coworkers, and you get into conversations that you generally would not, and the experience is different. So I'm the chief of staff to the COO, and I need to be close to him. I need to understand how he's thinking and how he's speaking, and it's easier sometimes to grab 5 minutes here and 5 minutes there as opposed to scheduled time. So I really benefit from connecting with my coworkers. The premises have been updated to properly social distance. We have, temperature readers, and as you said, Jamie, I think the key is for us being respectful. So I carry my mask around. I ask people if they feel comfortable with me not wearing a mask. And I'm always very cognizant that if they're not, it's not a problem, right? It's not going to kill me to wear the mask for an hour, a couple of hours. It's fine. I think that social responsibility aspect and understanding where people are at emotionally, it has been very important.
Right. I just want to point out, you talked about India, right? We don't get up every morning and think about India unless we have family there, friends there, but they are still a country that is in deep pandemic stress. Yeah. You have right?
And we have a significant number of employees there. And, talking about feeling happy and feeling blessed and feeling lucky and feeling like we're in a part of the world where we have the tools that we need and the services that we need, things like quarantine. Well, when you live in a household with 15 people, it's very difficult to quarantine. When you're not in the city, but you have gone back to a remote location, it's very difficult to get medication. It's very difficult to get an oxygen generator. It's very difficult to get the vaccine. So there have been so many learnings for me personally, hearing our India teams and our part of our family there and how we have been able to triage and help out. We take things for granted, I think, and part of my own personal learning out of COVID is those small things that we didn't think, going to the grocery store or going to the drugstore and buying a thermometer, it used to be a non-event, right? In some countries, it is, and it's critical for people to have those type of things. And so it's been a humbling experience for me.
Yeah, that's really impactful. Olenda says, I've grown very comfortable working from home, which is interesting, Olenda, because I think when all of us have been getting together throughout the pandemic, we were all trying to figure out how do we make home comfortable. Home didn't feel comfortable. And then it got very comfortable for all of us because it's what we had. But the idea of returning full time is stressful. Now, I think about what that stress is. Is it the fear of getting sick, or is it yet again another change in this daily routine that we have now adapted to over 16 months, Jamie?
So Donna, we were laughing yesterday because I said there's always a session that I have where somebody's emptying a dishwasher or folding laundry or instructing somebody to do something, where before it was one-on-one, we looked at each other, we did nothing else. So there's something very nice about multitasking and really getting the benefit of doing more than one thing at a time, and I'm cool with it. But like Rolanda says, it's very nice to not deal with traffic and not get totally put on heels, and to kind of be happy that you're home. And home becomes very safe. So people are talking about missing the camaraderie, and Martha, you sound so humbled by your colleagues in other countries. And I think that's what's the silver lining of this pandemic is that we are really showing our kindness and our respect for other people in general. And, I always laugh, and I can't remember who said this, but be kind to your mind. This is our mental health and self-care and taking care of ourselves and spending time. And, I called Margot Tucker just yesterday and said, I miss you. Like, where are you? And she said, I haven't been home in 3 weeks. And she's been home for 17 months. And so these are the kind of things that I giggle, I laugh, because I'm home a lot and it's nice. So we are making changes, and let's embrace that. And Marta says she has a unique opportunity to connect at a different level. And I agree. People are asking me how I'm doing. And that's not usually a question I get.
All right, Sherry wants me to just start. Everybody, welcome. We're at Refresh. This is our June show. Just so you know, we're going to do one a month throughout the summer and then come back in full force in the fall. And today we're talking about reemergence and re-entry in this world that has been actually sidelined and dramatically and radically changed by a 100-year pandemic. Good thing to know is we'd be prepared for the next one, I think, but maybe not. I don't know. But we have certainly learned a lot from this one. And you talked about mental health, Jamie. And again, another enlightenment that seems to be happening from the pandemic is the destigmatization of mental health. I mean, people are talking about it. It is vital. It is necessary. It is not like go in the dark and be in the corner and let's not talk about how you feel. This is important and good stuff for us, isn't it?
And I think that, we've tried to destigmatize it for so many years, and it was them and us. And now what we're really all seeing is that mental health has many different faces. And somebody said it's self-care and taking care of yourself. That's part of good mental health. One of your Refresh speakers talked about, brushing your heart and flossing your brain and really taking care like you would do your self-care. And so, yes, Donna, I think that people are very comfortable saying that they are not feeling great.
Yeah, no, it's great. This comment from Erin, which from Facebook, and let me just say, hey, Perrin, I hope you're doing great too. This is so interesting. I didn't think of this, Erin, but yes, part of my hesitancy with embracing a return to normal, again, I now feel like I'm regularly waiting for the other shoe to drop, so to speak. The past year was so much uncertainty, and I don't feel settled enough to trust that I know what's coming my way. That is just so fascinating, right? It's like, okay, change. Okay, we're here, but are we here? I think that's really, I think I think I can definitely relate to that.
And I think that's why we have to say, go at your own pace, because she's saying, I've been doing this now for 17 months and we're here, but what's going to happen in the next 17 months? And really what we're saying is slow down. If it's not working for you, slow down. And if you're not ready to hug and you're not ready to go to the office and your office and, Martha, you are clearly so sensitive to your staff, then slow down, do a hybrid. There are some companies that are forcing you to do that. And I think those are going to be the people that are going to have to make a change. They're either going to have to jump in or decide to be part of the 52%.
That's right. All right. I don't know why I never like to do negative things. I don't know why but I at least look forward to commuting to work, ditching the sweats, being in crowded places and awkward greetings. We definitely should say, everybody can say all of the above, but I'm going to see which one I would pick. My commute to work is a mile and I still don't want to do it. At least look forward to, yeah, okay, that's me. I'm interested to see where everybody else is. Jamie, are you voting here?
I voted.
Yeah, are you ditching the sweats?
I don't want to be in crowded places.
That's interesting. Okay, so listen, and we're all over this. Awkward greetings, it seems like we think we can manage, but maybe not. because that's displaced by more of a dislike about being in crowded places or commuting to work. Interesting, right? What do you think, James?
Yeah, I think that we see how much time we spend getting back and forth. And for me, I don't see the need to walk into huge crowds anymore. I'm not sure I was ever really that comfortable doing it, but I did it. But now I now get to use COVID as my excuse that I don't want to do it anymore. And
Yeah.
so
Yes, are you reading something here, Jamie?
no, I was just, and so I don't have to, I think that this has given me the opportunity to know what I'm comfortable and not comfortable doing. And, you know, my commute to work is 50 feet down the hall. So I enjoy when people come in. I'm happy that people come in. So, and I'm sick of sweats. So
I'm just loving my Lululemon pants. I never did before, but honestly, I just love putting them on every day as I'm wearing my vest today. But here's we have to bring in our Facebook folks here. Irene says crowded places and pants. Kelly Costner says being in crowded places and pants, yoga pants, not sweats. That's Sherry. That's a basketball player saying that. I think Ruth had a question about mental health in kids, Jamie. How do we, if kids are feeling anxious, how do we encourage them to, here it is here, it just came up. Any specific advice for teens who may be scared to express their anxiety about returning to school and activities? Another really.
So that's we have a whole list that we could put up in a couple of minutes, but one of the things, that's a very good question, and thank you for asking it. The kids have been watching us for 17 months now. They've been watching our angst and our worries and our concerns. And, just think about kids socially. Many kids have trouble getting into the social aspect at certain ages, especially teens. The drama is faster. So when they're in school for 1 day or 2 days a week, they have all the drama for the week. So it's very intense. School has been hard. The teachers it's really hard. The kids have lost a year of their life. They've lost a year of how to socialize. They've lost a year on how to separate from us. And so we have to be really, really, I think I said to Sherry, and I'm not sure if it's on the screenshot, is take off your mask, off your ears, and listen to these kids. Don't judge them. Don't take what they say as the most important thing. Just listen to them. And if they keep saying the same thing, it's really important. Validate their feelings. It is anxiety provoking. They did lose a year, if not more. And so they really kind of lost their being a little more advanced and a little more grown up. So it's about being kinder to the kids. It's about listening, taking the time to listen to what they're saying. If you hear the same thing, it's important. So yes, they're going to have maybe some disagreements with friends and family. And yes, they're going to feel awkward going back to school. But listen, they're struggling academically. I don't know a kid who could learn on these computers and grasp the whole thing.
Yeah, no,
so
there's no doubt it's challenging, right? The ability to embrace and be in person is going to be really important, which is what we're looking at with our Gen Wow girls, especially as well, Jamie.
I just also want to say, Donna, that teenagers have had a lot of time, and so they may be taking bigger risks now socially and doing things that they normally, maybe a 15-year-old wouldn't try a beer, but they are now.
Yeah,
right?
Really, that's interesting. Mm-hmm.
And so maybe kids are talking more about intimacy. There's a lot of talk about pronouns and gender identity. And so just listen, no judgment, because kids are just experimenting. And we're their audience right now. There's nobody around. So the kids are going to start re-entering. Hopefully they're going to be back at school in August and September. But again, this is our time to really put our effort into listening and hearing them and validating their feelings.
All right. All right. We don't have much time. We've got a couple of things to do. We did flip this around. So, Sherry, we're going to ask the polls, what are you most looking forward to? Right? I think that's the one we have next. And as Sherry's putting that up, Jamie, I just want to say, I always take notes as I listen, and I hope that you do too. But some of the things that really stand out, Jamie, is be kind to your mind. I think that's a really good little ditty to put in your brain. Be kind to your mind. It's a reminder for us to have self-grace. Very important. Slow and steady, that's a good thing. Oh, it's not. Oh, Sherry said it's not a poll. Just have to ask. Thanks, Sher. And reach out and connect. I really heard that from Olenda, right? We're in this. We like being home. We like the slow, the quiet, right? This kind of like different kind of safety, but we also need each other, and we should not hesitate to reach out. And if it's like this, actually, maybe this has more of a function than not. I've heard moms say, "I don't want to see my kid on another screen again." I'm sure that's overstatement for effect right now, but actually for us, it kind of works. In everything in moderation. Jamie, did you want to say anything as we close up? Because I'm going to ask a couple of questions of our friends here, and then wish everyone a great day.
Well, thank you everybody for coming. And this is a continuation of a conversation. And I look forward to any questions that you have and to continue this conversation, Donna.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think one of the things that Jimmy and I talked about is I did a blog recently, and I talked about leaning into the joy, that there are little things that are, and they're probably big things holding us back. We have been touched by trauma. We have been touched by pain. We've been touched by but not knowing the stress. And so as we lean into this summer of reconnection on many levels, we are a little bit in the back of our minds feeling hesitant, right? Because all these things are still with us. But I ask us all just to think about leaning into the joy as we can, like this time we have together. As I said, we will be back on July 28th. Sherry, correct me if I'm wrong. We'd love to hear from you. info@genwnow.com. info@genwnow.com. As we're preparing our fall season, we have done over 1 year of shows. 1 year, we've done like 55 refreshes. I have to say they've kept me sane, and they've provided a real balance of knowledge and people and input that has been really refreshing. I feel like it's worked. And so looking ahead, if you have somebody that you really are interested in, if there are topics you'd really like to cover, I would love, all of us would love if you would share them with us as we do this planning. Until then, I want to thank Tiffany, who was our assistant producer. She did a great job on Facebook. Way to go, Tiffany. Sherry, our producer, and of course, Jamie, and then all of you. It's just really good to spend this time. Thank you, and be well, and we'll see you in July when we'll be even more emergent. Till then.